Hey guys, BJ back with a Space Marine deck guide for you today. I've had a lot of people asking me in the comments when are you going to do Ultramarines. I am nearly at the end of my Legendary run on my Smurf account. If you've not watched that Beginner to Legend series, go check that out. But I thought I would do a slight detour because I'm quite excited to at least try a few of the buffs from the recent Balance patch before I go off on holiday for 10 days. So, now, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Don't do this often, but when I do, I like to give credit where it's due. I want to give a shout out to a new content creator called, I think it's Yakim or Jatram Silverblade. Now, Silverblade has recently started a YouTube channel and he's put out a few guides. So I'm going to put a link in his channel because I have heavily inspired this deck on his, basically, because I quite like the concept he'd come up with. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to take that deck for a spin. I've made a couple of changes and I'll point out where they are. But definitely if you want to see the original source, I do encourage you. We don't have tons of content creators in Warpforge, so it's nice to have new ones. So make sure that you go and check out his channel and give him a like and a sub. Alright, so what has Silverblade come up with? Well, first of all, he's talking about a Chaplain Letharius Tempo Deck. And it's really interesting because I don't think I've done a Letharius deck guide yet, but when this guy came out, the thing that I really liked about this guy's ability, and he's got quite a lot to his ability, right? He strikes, he heals one to adjacent units, he has a talent which basically is multifunctional. You can either use it to draw a troop, a bit like Calgar, so if there's nothing on the board, it does that. But if you've got a troop, it gives +1 to range, which is also pretty exciting at the minute, where I think the battle is on the range battleground anyway at the minute, when you look at the kind of Astra Militarium and decks like that. So, what I always thought that stood out for me when this guy got released was the heal, right? Because the ability to heal, the ability for neighboring units to attack and then be healed, it's subtle, but it's actually a big deal. And we know this, guys, because anyone who's played Anvirr in Tau, which gives adjacent units +1 heal, which obviously costs 1 energy to do, we know how powerful that can be. Now, Anvirr obviously gives +1 health, so that's a slightly better thing than just heal. But what we're going to do to make use of the strike ability here is run a lot of flankers. So that means that we can flank, take damage on the flankers, then strike with Letharius, and then heal that damage back up from the flankers, which I think is a really, really good strategy. Now, in order to be a tempo beatdown deck, we got to go with quite a low curve. There's been a few recent buffs to units which we're going to try out in here as well. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through the deck and what we're trying to do. I'll point out the changes that I've made to Silverblade's original version and why. And then I'm not saying they're better, by the way, because I've nowhere near tested this as much as he has, but I'll give you my rationale, and I'm just keen to test it out. Then we'll jump into some games. So the Octavio Infiltrator, we got 2 of these. In this type of deck, this card's brilliant because what you're doing is you're fighting for board aggressively in the early game. And a card like this, very, very cheaply bringing another body onto the board and being able to essentially cheat a unit by blinding it and giving your board the advantage over theirs. Blind has always been a really powerful effect. When the Ultramarines ruled the meta, it was heavily down to blind. And I think in a way it's a keyword that we've somewhat forgotten about. I think it's, especially at the minute where we are in quite a tempo-based meta, I think there's a trick here to be had with thinking a little bit more about effective use of blind. And Marines are one of the better factions, actually, that can make use of blind. Now, we've got 2 copies of that. And I think while we're talking about blind, there is one 4-drop in this deck, which is the Hellblaster. Now, this did just recently get a buff, and I think that's probably why Silverblade runs it. I'm not convinced that this belongs in the ultimate best version of this deck. I've kept it in because I'm keen to try it as well, and also Silverblade ran it in his deck. And yeah, let's give it a shot. However, if you weren't going to run this, I think running the other blind option would be that's tried and tested, and that would be Sergeant Electus. So for me, I think probably this card is probably better than in the 4-drop slot, and that would again, that would really shore up your blind ability, right? Because you'd have 3 units in your deck then that can do blind, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm just actually going to move this up here in case I back out again. There we go. So let's have a look. We've got 2 more scouts. Again, this is more about how do we maximize the kind of curve really and the tempo. Putting down another body that can be buffed by other units, that can distract our enemy Warlord, take focus off of other units, get that extra 1 ping damage. It's really important, so we run 2 of them. Now, the next card is the Firstborn, which is the Ultramarines' natural kind of 2-drop board building unit, right? We have to remember every time we codex, this thing gets +1 health, and then combining that with Chaplain's ability to then heal as well. This can potentially spiral if our opponent doesn't have an answer. Now, here comes the first change. Now, Silverblade runs 2 hero respites, and he might be right about that. I've gone with 1, and in place of the second one, I've actually run the Librarian. He does not have the Epistolary Librarian. Now, the reason for that for me is that first of all, the Librarian just means, like, one of the weaknesses of a deck like this, obviously, is that if you don't dominate the early game, you've got such a low curve that your opponent's going to start playing more mid-game units, and they're going to kind of take over the board. Well, the Librarian allows you to just compete a little bit longer in that space because it's a big body. But importantly, this thing draws a card, and so if we're going to lose some heroes Respite, which is drawing cards, we're going to gain that draw through the Librarian, and have a stronger body board building card to play along with it. The other synergy why I think this might potentially be better is that we do run, and I want to come back to this card, Gather the Company, which I've never really run before, and I'm really excited to try this. But the point about this card is draw 3 cards for every infantry drawn, refill 1 energy. And I did watch Silverblade's gameplay, and I saw 2 or 3 times where he played this, and he ended up drawing stratagems. And so it made me think, where are the opportunities to kind of cut down a little bit on the total stratagem number to avoid that, not misplay, but to avoid, to better the averages, right? So again, by removing a hero's respite, which is a stratagem, and sticking in another body, that actually makes our Gather the Company more reliable and consistent as well. So along those lines of play comes my second change, and this is the only other change that I've made to his deck, which is the Point Blank Shot. I love this card. It's a really good card. But again, he runs 2 copies. I've actually knocked it down to 1 copy, and instead I've put in the Scout Bike. I think having the additional proactive 2-drop plays into our game plan, and I think Scout Bike is a lot more disruptive than you think. Yeah, if you're playing Swarmlord, obviously this card is just a waste of space, and that's where you'd rather have something like Point Blank Shot in that matchup for sure. But outside of that, I think the Scout Bike is really, really powerful. Not really, really powerful. It's the wrong word to say. It's really disruptive, right? The camouflage means they can't hit you with stratagems. So Imatech can't deal with it. Neurothroat can't deal with it like say Swarmlord can, because he just comes with 3 melee damage. But I think that the Scout Bike is really cool, and when you're fighting for early board, if you play a card like this and it stops your opponent playing the what would be the best answer in their hand because of this, then I think that's worth it. And the other reason is that, again, like everything we said before for Hero's Respite, that means our deck is another -1 on stratagems and another +1 on actual units, which again makes Gather the Company more consistent and reliable. So they're really the 2 changes that I've made. Again, I'm not saying they're better. I don't know. I've given you my rationale. You decide for yourself. We'll jump into some games and see. Silverblade's got more experience than me with this deck and is higher on ranking. So, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, rest of the deck then. 2 Intercessor Sergeants, just a standard good 3-drop with good health. One thing I like about Silverblade's deck building with this is that he consistently looks for solid health units. He looks for, you know, if it's 3 energy, he wants 4 health. If it's 4 energy, he wants 5 health. And I really like that kind of that thinking, especially in a tempo-based trade war type of deck. He runs the double Inceptors, so more flank. We've got more double Sternguard, just because, again, this is a superb proactive unit. Now he does, we already said, has the 1 Hellblaster. I think this might be an experimental tech card. You could swap this out for Electus. You could even swap it out for something else. If you wanted to higher your curve, you could drop this and put a Dreadnought in or something like that. I mean, I think that keeping it the 4-drop is a good idea, but I'm going to test the Hellblaster. You know, you never know. Maybe I'll be surprised. We got the double Honor Guard, which is great. I love this card now. I really like the buff to the stats that we just recently got. And then we have the Chaplain, because we've so many low units, low-costed units, that the Chaplain giving +1/+1 to our infantry troops. Remember, this is a permanent buff. I think this is a really solid choice for the Chaplain. The Chaplain did receive a nerf a few patches ago, and it's gone down in my estimation a lot, but I do think that this, of all the decks I've seen, is the deck for the Chaplain for sure. Next up, we've got the Aggressor Sergeant. Really excited to try this, guys. An old common vanilla card that's never been used. It's received 2 or 3 buffs, and finally I think this is at a point where this looks to me like a really great value card. I think at 5 energy, you can get away with just dropping a proactive card that doesn't do anything on that turn. It's not too late in the game. Once you get to sort of 7 or certainly 8, I don't think you can get away with that, but I think at 5 you can, and then this card is a real problem because, you know, they got to kind of deal with it, or it's coming back at them with blast and good stats, and then in dealing with it, you can't really cheat this card. What do? Do you use hard removal? Well, in that case, we're happy that you've used hard removal on a 5-drop. If you trade, you're going to take damage on your Warlord. It's going to kill most units up to this point. So I just think all round Aggressor Sergeant now has become like, it's like the Carnifex of the Ultramarines. Like this seems to me like a really solid 5-drop. I'm looking forward to getting into some games with this one. As we've already said, next up we've got Gather the Company. I've never really played this card. What I loved about Silverblade's deck and inclusion of this is the fact that he's built around it. Like, there'll be stratagems that you'll be looking at, going, why is there no Death from Above? Why is there no what's the 2-drop legendary? Why is that not in here? Well, it's because of this, guys, right? Like, we're trying to make sure that Gather the Company gets us like insane value, and if you're drawing 3 cards and refilling for every infantry drawn, that's why we don't run the 5-drop tank as well, right? Like it's purely infantry. So yeah, I think this is really good, guys. I think this is going to cost you 2 energy essentially, and potentially trigger trigger Codex, and then refill energy for you to re-trigger Codex on like a Chaplain or something like that as well. So I'm really keen to learn with this card. I think this is, again, the best deck I've seen for it. So now we got a single copy of Inspired Retribution. I do think this is wise. I mean, if you didn't want the Hellblaster, you could potentially even run 2. But I definitely think like not leaving home without one of them is wise, especially in this meta where we're now starting to see things like Astra Militarum tanks, which can be pretty difficult to deal with. If they get cheated out early, having an answer to that is good. And then the Inceptor Sergeants. These are, you know, ever since early access when these things were better statted than this and they were ruling the meta, I think this card has been overlooked a little bit. It's still a really good card. It's not the beast it once was, but it's still very efficient at being a big flanker and coming on and dealing with the board. And there's a question about whether it's better than the newly buffed, what's the newly buffed 6-drop called? Angels of Death, right? Now, if you're just talking generically, probably prefer Angels of Death overall, but in this deck, in this particular deck, I definitely think that he's right. I think the Sergeant is the better option because with the 6 health, it's going to benefit from Letharius' ability to heal neighbouring units, so that's a pro. And of course, as we've already just said, we want troops, infantry troops, not stratagems, which is what Angels of Death is, in order to get value from Gather the Company. So in this specific deck, I do think the Interceptor Sergeant is the better choice. In other decks, I think the Angels of Death is the better choice. So you really got to think about the deck that you're trying to run. And as we said, just to finish off that curve, I've got the Librarian in there, just a nice big body topping off the curve. Not too massive an investment, you know, it's still 7, we're not talking about 9 drops here, but also the fact that on the turn he comes down, he guarantees draws us a card and puts a shield on the Warlord, even if our opponent's got some like hard removal for it. So that's the deck that I am going with. So let's jump into some games, shall we? Yeah, I'm super excited to try this, guys. Super excited to try this. We got Abaddon. You're 3 dropping there, aren't we? Now we could have taken the first turn to draw. So maybe that is correct. I'm very much trying a tempo approach here. I mean, Abaddon is a tempo deck usually in itself. Question is, do we attack? I don't know that we necessarily need to. But if he was to play Spawned here, would be an issue. I'm not that bothered about seeing Spawned used here though. Traitors hits. Yeah, I suppose that clears up the board for him. But we're still ahead in terms of initiative. Could have played Chaplain if we'd not drawn the Honor Guard, but I think the Honor Guard might just be a better choice here. It's taking a lot of tempo off here. So I think what we do is play this, we attack, then we do this to buff the health. Obviously this has come down with Vulnerable because he played the Indultrous Despoilers, giving Vulnerable 1 to every troop we play for the rest of the game, so that's a bit annoying. So we do want to try and end this guy quick. Okay. So we've got a pretty perfect trade here. I think what we can do is hit this guy, use the draw, see if we refill. Okay, we refill 2. We give everything +1, but is that really worth it? It's only to your troops, isn't it? So it's basically just that one. So I think we play this here. And then we want to be basically range attacking anyway. Getting that value. On a guard can't be taken out by Abaddon now. Second Traitor's Hate. See what I mean about this guy? Down to 1 health. Still trading. It's just a ridiculous trade. I think what we're going to do is go in on the... I think I'm going to go in on the damage here. Wait, have we got lethal? This is going to do 2, isn't it? To 3. Yeah, we got lethal. All we got to do is make this add up. So we go... Come. Come. GG. Nice. Feels good, man. Okay, so next up we got GSC. I don't think we really want any of those, to be honest with you. But the offense cards really benefit us. We want to play as the beatdown, so we'd just be giving him a card.
Only those blessed by the star.
So it looks like we're just drawing a card here. We'll attack though. I think we are the beatdown. Now, has he got the clandestine operations, or does he use his... Ah, he's got the rusted vent. Okay. Probably is going to have a unit. Okay, so we can get away with not playing that. Pretty handy. What we can do here is we can trade with this. Goes down 1 health. Attack, put it back up to full health. That keeps the aggro on. Keeps our body full health. This jam communications is quite good for us because we don't actually have many stratagems. We'd have to be as urgent about playing it, or this thing is more of a problem, obviously.
Created such wonders to fuel our ascension.
I think here we will just attack and again heal. Really, really love the heal ability of this guy. I think it's super underrated. Okay. Bags himself a couple of Day of Ascension approaches. Quite a clever thing we could do if we played off curve here.
We must move faster.
I think we're just going to actually get rid of this now.
Positions. We strike soon. Trust in the Emperor at the hour of battle.
Not sure if that was the right way to do that turn, to be honest. There's quite a few ways we could have played it. Could have also got rid of the jam communications if we wanted. Okay.
Trust in the Emperor at the hour of battle. For the Emperor!
Power up. Let's dude out. There be some beefy chaplains. Beefy. Looks like this is going to be Sanctus.
A single perfect shot to herald our ascension.
Such unfettered force, wasted in a false errand.
Nasty.
For the Emperor and the Primarch.
Could technically keep this alive. Take the damage on this.
The day of ascension approaches.
So comes the moment of deliverance. None can deny the Star Children's deliverance.
Okay.
Join our cause,
We
or
must
perish for
move
your
faster.
ignorance.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That is a bit unfortunate that it hit that one when we were going to take this out, but doesn't matter. This thing's started to get some value, hasn't it? Maybe we should have got rid of it on that turn. That E5 turn. Problem is that you may have looked at that turn and thought we could have got away with it, but really thinking ahead, and like now, for example, this does even more to get rid of it. So, at least this gives him a bit of a problem. In terms of rebuilding the board. And yeah, he just put a lot of stuff in our hand, but he didn't do much. Okay.
We will overwhelm all who stand against our ascension.
Oh, he doesn't even take the damage when you deal damage. Oh, I didn't know. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
They'll be dead before they see me coming.
Okay.
I will topple the walls of the oppressor.
That's a real problem for us. That is a real problem for us. Wonder whether we actually draw here. This is interesting. Oh, it's awkward on curve, isn't it? It's really awkward on curve, this. Just have to play some lines. I wanted to play the Sergeant there, but it just didn't. We just didn't have anything else viable, really. Firstborn wouldn't have triggered Codex. We couldn't have drawn. Librarian and Firstborn would look decent, but then we'd have just given this thing an easy trade. Problem here is we could obviously get rid of 2 of the units. He'd still have lethal.
Join us, and the Void Gods will free you from your shackles.
This is where point blank would be, isn't it? This is where something like point blank would be very nice in these types of situations. Can't do it, guys, because even if we do like this, it's not enough. It's got lethal on board. That's a shame. Day of Ascension. Nice! GG! GG. Okay, let's go again. Anvirr. I don't know whether we're meant to keep scouting the opening hand. I don't think we are. This is good in the up. Both players start the match with one. Though if we're going first, actually, is it good? Sure it is good for us. He hasn't got a unit down.
The hour of blood and clashing blades has come.
Hold still.
I guess we go 50-50 on the Sternguard, right? Okay, got lucky. Fortune favours the bold. Fortune favours BJ the Brave.
Swift demise.
Okay, nothing proactive there, take that. It's timing, buddy.
Courage and honor! Hold still.
Okay. Think what I want to do here is this. It's this way we can basically, or we do this first, right? And then what we can do is get the damage in with this and this, but heal this guy to the point that Ranger doesn't just take that out for free now. Kind of looks decent. Man, we got wrecked by that storm. That was horrendous. He doesn't get value on this, but... might be a draw turn for him. Not sure if I'm using this right, or whether, you know, should I be trying to use it more from a codex perspective? I'm not sure. Use this to clear this. Oh, well, I can't remember if this hits or not. No, it doesn't. Now we'll do this to heal. When it says enemy troop, it doesn't count the Spirit Stone as troop. I don't know whether they've universalized that rule. I'm sure there's some things that say that still do affect like remnants or stones. Let me know in the comments if you're any more knowledgeable of that than me. I feel like that could be an Inspired Retribution. Could it? 3.
We must move faster. For the Emperor!
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I think this is going to be a Gather the Company turn. I mean, let's see what we draw. Like if we drew the Librarian now or something. I feel like we need to play this flanker though. Yeah, so play this first. We'll just play this out, I think. Will we? Let's have a think. So we can do this and put more pressure on by then dropping the other. me just clear that and then just do this. More pressure on his face, doesn't it?
We will purge the galaxy.
He's reaching the point where, can he really afford to trade with Anvirr? Whenever you make it so the Warlord can't swing, you're at a massive advantage. Second Banshee Mask.
The bloodied blade of
Okay. So we can clear that with this, right? Yeah. So we can play this, and then we can play this. Then we can just hit this.
Taking cover. Enemies in range.
In attack. Say what you got. You got for that, Anvirr? I really like the one drops in this deck as well. Oh, he's got the second storm now. Has he got the heal card? Ah, okay. Hasn't done it anywhere. GG. Nice. 2 wins and a loss. New deck, take that. So all very close games, to be honest. Like I say, we made a couple of minor changes. I think the biggest thing that I felt when I was piloting that was I wasn't quite sure on the mulligans always. Not sure I'd mulliganed correctly. And yeah, I can see how like the cheap sort of the point blank and the hero's respite, they do help with that kind of quick cycle, and that's something that I've taken out of here. So definitely let me know what you think in the comments. Play around with it, guys. Like, you know, play the double hero's respite, play the double point blank. Like I said, I put the librarian in. I think the Hellblaster could be a flex slot, and I also put the scout bike in. So definitely play around with them. I'm gonna test different things. But overall, I think this is a really nice deck, especially considering that Ultramarines have struggled since they got heavily hit with a nerf bat a couple of seasons ago. I've not really played them. They've been the worst faction. So this is definitely on the right tracks. If I was gonna try and climb hard with UM, which I might do this season, I think this would be the deck. Felt fast, felt fun, felt like there were still decisions to be made. So if you enjoy that aggro tempo, I think this is a really viable one for you. And Letharius' ability is really cool. As suspected, I think it's a little bit under the radar, to be honest. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to check out my intro to the Space Marine faction if you've seen that. I've got a whole host of deck guides as well, which are sort of more vehicle heavy, big guard. We've got an aggro builds. So if you want to go back and watch those, please do. Hit that like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for all the support. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.